Hello everyone. I am hoping that the sound issues, or excuse me, the volume level issues are resolved now. Been working with my microphone and the speakers on my laptop, and so hopefully this is resolved. If you're still having trouble hearing me in this video, that's okay. I will be made aware of it and work on it. I definitely got a lot of messages in the last video, which is why I've been waiting to resolve the issue to make any more. So, um, welcome to the month of December, everyone. I'm recording this on December 2nd, and I wanted to just make a little chatty video slash talk about some of the decks that I've been using this time of year and kind of just like where I'm at on my own personal journey, etc., in regards to my spirituality. So, this is a time of year where I tend to work with the darker faces of the goddess, and well, I mean, pretty much any time of year I do, but especially this time of year I really enjoy working with the energy of Hecate um, and the energy of, those darker faces of the goddess. But I found this just that November into December that I've actually been working with the goddess Isis a lot more. And of course, she is my patroness, and so I do talk about her a lot on this channel. I work with her a lot, but I've really been finding that this time of year, this year, around this time, I've been very called to continue to work with her in regards to her very loving and accepting and mothering energy, but also in her ability to find that which is lost. So if you are experiencing a feeling of being a little bit lost and unsure of where you are on your path, then I would say connecting with the goddess Isis might be something that you choose to explore. And it could be something that's very empowering and also very nurturing for yourself. So along with that, I've also been working with the energy of Lilith, as well as the angel of death, Azrael. I've really been drawn to work with his energy and connecting in with him in regards to the work that I do with clients, the space that I hold as a priestess on my path, and as a healer and a reader and a psychic medium. So connecting with his energy has been very inspiring and very encouraging, I think. I really love his energy, and I'm getting to work with him in a new way that feels really good for me. And in fact, you guys know how much I love music, and I really love the deathcore band Lorna Shore. If you look back behind the bed, I have one of their posters there. They actually did a song in which they're kind of connected with the energy of Azrael, and there are some song lyrics there that like really have dovetailed nicely with my work with this particular face of the dark side of the sacred masculine. And so I actually have them written on my journal, so I figured I would read them all to you just to kind of like share the space and the feel of connecting with this particular face or aspect of deity. So the lyrics are, fall with me into the other night, we can go beyond the horizon again. Fall with me until we're out of time. Let the current swallow. These whispers keep clawing, your mind is dissolving light. Sink while you bathe in hallucination. So I really love that set of lyrics there in regards to experiencing a connection with Azrael and working with that energy. If you feel drawn to connect with Azrael but you're not sure how to start, Pete Morbacher's The Oracle of Emanations actually has a card for him, and a really beautiful and striking depiction of him in the card imagery, which you may feel drawn to work with. I do have that card imagery up on my downstairs altar at this point in time, and I've really enjoyed using that kind of as a portal to connect with him when I feel drawn to journey with him in meditation. So outside of exploring the darker faces of deity and doing a lot of shadow work within myself in regards to understanding core wounds, and I've done a video recently where I was talking about kind of revisiting things that you thought you had healed, and now it's time to unravel another layer, and I've definitely been doing that on my personal journey, and I know that there are some of you out there who have as well. So if you're in that space, please know that you're not alone, and that revisiting those wounds is something that allows us to peel another layer off and awaken to another aspect of ourselves that's ready for expression, integration, and honoring. So I've been working on that in my personal path. I've also been reading, thanks to a wonderful friend of mine who recommended this, Nicholas and Alexandra by Robert K. Massey. It's a really great book on the Romanov dynasty and the fall of it. Uh, I've really, really been enjoying this. This is a very absorbing read, and it's like kind of, it's basically winter here in New England, and this book just kind of works really beautifully with that energy of like hibernation and going within and slowing down and like long, quiet nights and just cuddling up with a good book. So if you're looking for something to read and this interests you, Nicholas and Alexander by Robert K. Massey, I really recommend that. I've been enjoying that wholeheartedly. So let's talk about decks. I am not even going to save this one for the end and say it's my favorite. You guys know Tarot of Vampires by Ian Daniels is my life. And for the last, I don't know, maybe going on 2 months now, month and a half, maybe 2 months, I've been doing my own personal daily draws and journaling with this deck and with the guidebook Phantasmagoria. Now, I've been working with this deck since it came out, and it's really had just the most powerful, potent impact on my life. Many of you have found the channel because you're trying to find ways to work with the deck, and I have videos on that. But the book Phantasmagoria, every time I reread it, every time I read the guidebook meanings for my daily draw and spend some time journaling with the wisdom that comes through there, it just makes such a difference for me. It's so impactful, and it really helps you to tap into pieces of your story, pieces of yourself, pieces of your experience that you may not be able to see if you just like drew the card and then went about your day. But actually spending time with the guidebook really, really makes a big difference. It's so powerful and impactful. So if you're feeling called to work with this deck, I can't recommend strongly enough working with the guidebook, even if you've already read it. Guys, I've read the guidebook cover to cover at least 3 to 5 times, and I still reference it every day right now and read my guidebook meanings, the couple pages that are there for my card draw. So I assure you that getting up a little bit earlier than normal or staying up a little bit later than normal so that you can gift yourself that time for self-reflection and connection with your cards, with your spirit tribe, with whatever you consider to be source perspective for you, it really does make a difference. And it is, yes, it's an investment of time and energy, but it really, really, really pays off. I can't reiterate that enough. So this is my number one, and it's the first one I'm talking about because I've been using it personally for myself every day, every single day. The Little Monsters Tarot, I didn't even show any images from Tarot Vampires, sorry guys, but you guys know the imagery in that deck if you're watching this video. So this is the Little Monsters Tarot, and I haven't used her in a little while, and I started to pull her out to do my 2022 yearly readings. I had this offering on Etsy, and it's sold out, but as I'm starting to get those readings off to people, working with this deck for the yearly readings has been so beautiful and enjoyable. There's something about, I'm always going to love ink drawings and black and white drawings and paintings and workings in black and white. And this deck really features that, but in this really youthful, inquisitive, yet slightly moody, slightly darkly inclined way that's just thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyable. So this is the Little Monsters Tarot. I've been using this one a lot in the yearly readings and also just enjoying connecting with the whimsy of this deck, which is slightly reminiscent of Edward Gorey, but it's definitely not a knockoff. It's not the same. But it kind of will take me to that kind of sassy, playful, sweet place. So Little Monsters Tarot is on my list for early winter of 2021 decks. I've also been using the Messenger Oracle by Sandra Kuntz. I haven't used this in a little while, but I really felt drawn to having it on my upstairs altar and just drawing a daily card to kind of connect with animal spirit energy and just allow the interpretations I take from the draws to be very intuitive. I have not been using this deck for clients right now. It's just purely been for myself, and I've really been enjoying the imagery and the feel of this deck. You guys know way back in the day when Vincent was a teeny little baby, I did a workshop called, that was the Dop Walk workshop. That's what I abbreviated it to with this deck. Those videos are still up on the channel if you feel called to explore that workshop for yourself. But I really got a lot and really out of that workshop of working that intimately with this deck. And it's a foundation that I can return to when I do decide to pull this deck out of hibernation and connect with her. And this is just such a loving, gentle deck of grace and compassion, and one that kind of exists outside of time and space to me. So it's a really nice one to work with affirmationally, to work with for meditation, or just if you feel like you need to rebalance and get grounded for yourself. That's a really great deck to turn to in those times. Let's see, where do we want to go next? The full edition of The Witch's Tarot by Burning Paper Hearts. I will have a full review of this on the channel this month. I did a reveal, but I will have the full review. Really also been using this in the yearly outlook readings, and oh, can I just say, this is like my favorite cardstock in the whole wide world. It's so luscious and decadent and yummy. There is nudity in this deck if you don't want, if you have kids around, you don't want them to see it, or you're not comfortable with that, just letting you know you might want to skip ahead in the video a little bit here. But this is a deck definitely, intrinsically, it's so much about witchcraft and the sacred feminine to me, and the faces of the goddess. And the artwork is, again, just right up my alley. It's perfect for this time of year as well for me. It's very moody and darkly inclined and delicious and lovely and so very, very yummy. And so I have really been enjoying getting to know this deck. I'm definitely ready to do a review on the channel, so that will be coming soon. But this is one that I've been working with a great deal as well. And I love the imagery. It's really, really beautiful. It's the Empress. And look at this depiction of Two of Cups. Isn't that gorgeous? Yeah. So this is the Witch's Tarot. This is the full edition. There is a majors only edition as well, which we've talked about a lot on this channel. I believe it was last year. No, I think it was early this spring I did a video on working with the majors only version. But now we have the entire version as a whole, and it's a really great gift to the community. Pause, drink of water. Been using my OG Rider-Waite Smith deck from one of my first teachers. Every once in a while, and if you've been reading with tarot for a while, you will understand this as well. You just have to go back to the basic imagery. There's something really it's like when you're a kid and you're ready to leave, the house you grew up in, and you can't wait to get out. And then you're out for a while, and then you come back, and you're filled with a sense of nostalgia, and it's the sense of coming home, right? This deck it's very much like that. It's like I needed to get away from this imagery, and then every once in a while I need to come back to it, and it just feels so nice to come back to it. So yes, this is the original Rider-Waite Smith imagery. This is a deck. This was my teacher's deck when she was first starting to read with tarot in the 70s and 80s. And so the color in this cardstock is definitely pretty intense. It's not anything I normally would go for. And yet I've really, really been enjoying connecting with her energy through reading with it. And also connecting with the energy of tarot at its, at its foundational roots as well when working with this imagery. Also, it's perfectly broken in. You guys know when a deck is perfectly broken in, right? I'm going to show you my tarot vampires too, because this is real. And they're just so yummy to carry around with you and to shuffle, and to every time you shuffle it, it just feels so good. When a deck is perfectly broken in, and I know you guys know how that feels, this deck is perfectly broken in, this deck is perfectly broken in. It's just it's so delicious to shuffle decks when they're perfectly broken in. So I've also been using the Magic of You Oracle a great deal. I think this made my late fall deck list as well. It's very much focused on someone who's following a pagan or a witchcraft path or a left-hand path, someone who's following an alternative spiritual path, but you don't have to identify as a witch to work with this deck. However, it's very, very powerful if you do. And the artwork is just gorgeous in this deck, and it's really great as a clarifier. I've been using this in a lot of the 2022 Outlook videos and just really enjoying the clarification that this deck brings. I also feel like it's intrinsically connected to the sacred feminine. And so it's a nice one to work with if you kind of want to call in the collective voice of the sacred feminine, and still be able to find the nuances of individual goddesses to work with. So this is the Magic of You Oracle. And I do, if you're interested in that deck, I really do recommend it. It's worth the investment, and it just gets better with time. So I was gifted the Tarot of the Abyss recently, and I'm going to be posting a review of this girl too. I love this deck. Oh my gosh, this deck is such a breeze to read with. It's stunning. It's, oh, I can't, like, I love this deck. I'm so thankful to the friend who gifted this to me. Really, really, really a great deck to read with. There's just something about black and white imagery that for me is so freeing. Like, it gives me, I feel much less bound to the traditional ideas or aspects of a card when I've got this black and white imagery, and I don't know what it is about it. But the older I get and the more I work with decks, and the more in which I connect to, you know, aspects of myself, just the more at home the black and white imagery feels to me. It's like the Hermetic Tarot. Whenever I work with that, it's just, oh, it's so yummy. And this deck is very much one of those just yummy, delicious decks to work with. The imagery is just delightful. So very unique personality and beautiful, beautiful backing. Love this backing. So that's Tarot of the Abyss. What else do we have here? The other two, I don't know. You guys might be surprised to see these other two. I haven't really talked about them in a little while. I don't think. Maybe I have talked about Sacred Rebels, but I've been using Sacred Rebels again in the yearly outlook readings, and I'm about to purchase the updated version, which doesn't have borders and has matte cardstock, just so you know, because you guys know that I prefer that and I work with this deck a lot. I use this deck a lot in client readings. I use it because it is very easy to access soul purpose meanings with this deck, and also to understand if you're in a time of transition, what exactly you're exploring through the transition. This deck is really, really great for that. It's Alana Fairchild who's created the deck, but it's also, it's like a very accessible Alana Fairchild deck. Let me put it that way. So even if you're not typically an Alana Fairchild deck fan, you may really get a lot out of working with this deck, and I'd recommend giving it a go. I mean, I do think that this deck is worth it. And I'm very excited to get the matte edition that's borderless. So this is the Sacred Rebels Oracle by Alana Fairchild. Again, really great for soul purpose readings, really great for like understanding what it is that you're exploring as a story in your life at this particular time. Really great to meditate with the card imagery and the guidebook meanings when you're in a time of transition. So if you're feeling that way, this may really be a deck that makes a difference for you. It's definitely a powerful deck, and it's a really beautiful one, and it's one that, despite all my moves over the years and all the years of gifting decks and things like that, you know, letting decks go when it's time, Sacred Rebels is one that I've never not had in my collection. So that being said, the Mystical Shaman Oracle. Mystical Shaman. You guys know which one this is. This is the one by Colette Baron Reed, and there were two other authors. I haven't picked this deck up in a while, and I kind of cleaned house recently and gifted a lot of my Colette Baron Reed decks. But this deck I have kept, and I love this deck so freaking much. I love, love, love this deck. I have, again, this is another one that I've never not had in my collection. I work with it fairly regularly. This is the longest break I've ever taken from it. But as I've ramped back up into the yearly outlook readings, working with this deck has felt very appropriate for myself. You know, any time that you are holding a space between realms, and you have something that can anchor you into your body for that practice, it's beneficial. And this is one of those decks that I do find is very anchoring for my body as I hold a space between realms for others. So this is one that I would definitely recommend this deck. If you're on the, if you're wanting to purchase the Colette Baron Reed deck and you want something that you're going to get some meat out of, this is definitely one of those. And so this is on my list for early winter 2021 deck. And I mean, the cardstock is so yummy. It's before, this is my original copy. So it's before they started using that flimsy cardstock, which is honestly why I haven't bought the new Shamanic Oracle that they released, because I watched a review and the cardstock was really flimsy, and ugh. Flimsy cardstock is so difficult for me to deal with because I read with cards every day and I know what good cardstock feels like. So if I'm going to pay $26 for a deck, even on Amazon and it's $26, I feel like I should get really good cardstock. And this is great cardstock. So that is actually why I haven't purchased the most recent Shamanic Oracle that they put out. But if you guys have it, let me know your thoughts down below, because I might purchase it and deal with the, shoddy cardstock if the deck is as amazing as this one is. This is one of my favorite images, so it's kind of the perfect one to end it with. Jaguar here. Yeah, I really love this deck, and I think moving into the new year, I will switch from Tarot Vampires daily draw and guidebook reading every day and journaling to this Mystical Shaman Oracle for the dailies. I talk about it a lot, but having a daily card practice really does make a difference for me. And so if you're on the fence about it, it might be something to explore for yourself. But this is one of those decks that really works very, very nicely for that. So that's my main list for early winter decks for this season as we approach Yule. Honorable mention is Divine Circus Oracle. This is the one with the really great borderless matte cardstock, but I don't like the card backing as much as the original. And this is actually one of my favorite images from the deck, the Good Geisha. But I'm honorable mentioning this one because I haven't been using it as much as these other decks, but I've really been getting a lot out of it and really enjoying working with her. And this deck does like to work with others. I've talked about that before. It's a really great deck if you want an oracle deck that's straddling the realm of shadow work and spiritual guidance. This one really holds both of those realms very well. So really, really beautiful deck. Even though I don't like clowns in general, I don't mind this deck. But yeah, this is a gorgeous deck. This is also by Alana Fairchild. And if you're going to purchase, again, it's up to you. As long as you can deal with the card backing that's not the beautiful black circus tent. The cardstock and the borderless and matte cardstock here really does make a difference. It's so much more pleasurable to look at, especially if you're holding the cards out on your altar as you move throughout your day as well. So that's my list for winter decks, guys. It's a really beautiful juxtaposition for me on my own personal spiritual journey right now of doing a lot of inner work, but also feeling really very Nine of Pentacles in my energy, and so far as independent and free and enjoying my solitude in a really beautiful way. And it's gorgeous as the beautiful thing about aging in our human bodies too is as time goes by, we start to really enjoy aspects of ourselves that when we were younger, maybe we were afraid of, or we were afraid to be alone with. So if you are, like me, finding yourself in a solitary space this time of year, please know that we can always look at this as a gift, right? And really enjoy getting to know ourselves better and connecting with ourselves in new ways through that solitude. So I encourage you to enjoy embracing the solitude. If you're struggling to do that, because I know that the holidays can be really beautiful time of year for some people and really difficult for others. So if you're someone who's struggling with the sense of solitude that you're experiencing, or you are having a hard time this holiday season, I would really encourage you to kind of amp up your card practice. Maybe step into daily draws with journaling and really spending some time with your intuition, but also the guidebook meanings for your cards. Amp up your card practice in a way that lets you have an exercise to do every day, so you're not feeling as alone or maybe unappreciated, if that's a feeling you're experiencing. Beefing up our card practice can give us something really positive and healthy to do every day, right? And it also helps us to check in with ourselves. it gives us a few minutes to check in and feel and see where we're really at and embrace that for ourselves. So, and there's, some magic happens when we allow ourselves to just sit and embrace our feelings and emotions. So if you are in a place like that on your spiritual path at this time, please know you're not alone, because I'm exploring that as well. And, the more open we are and present we are to the experience, the more we can flow with it, and there's less of a feeling of resistance and like getting stuck in that energy, if you know what I mean. So it's been an honor and a joy and a privilege to share my favorite decks for early winter with you guys. I know all of you always send me request messages for my favorite decks of the season. So I hope that you've enjoyed this seasonal video. I am sending you, as always, much love and many blessings. I'll see you in the next video.